Hey everyone, today we have Sandra Weber on the show, and we're going to be going over her post that went viral in the Facebook group and read through the post in the comments. So I'm super excited for this. This is so juicy. Sandra, welcome to the show. Please let our audience know a little bit about you and why they should be following you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I appreciate the camaraderie and the group as a whole has just been awesome. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been licensed since 2000. As I said in the cupping thing, like everybody else, I have hundreds, probably thousands of hours of CEs. I got into massage. I was very sick as a child, had the asthma, had ovarian cyst, very sick. I thought I was going to go into nursing. Growing through all of that, having children very young, I decided I wanted to be on the preventative side of healthcare. Getting my license to touch gave me the right to learn as much as I wanted to about the body. That's kind of how I've incorporated it into my business and then into my continuing education classes. I'm happy to be here, ready to break this down and figure out how we can get everybody booked solid for months at a time.
Sandra had posted in the Facebook group why I didn't rebook. This is a very common question. People are often saying things, how can I get more clients in the door and do things really special for them? But sometimes we forget that maybe the things that are making people not rebook is not all the special stuff, is all the other things that we don't commonly think of. So this is what this thread is about. This is in Sandra's own words, why I didn't rebook, a thread. I love this. Already reading like a memoir. So let's provide some context and constructive criticism for people. Leave a detailed comment below for why you didn't rebook. No comments like their energy was off. That's not quantifiable. Doesn't make any sense, y'all. We're looking for actual constructive feedback. Make the criticism measurable so other therapists can see what they're missing. So Sandra's number one, why I didn't rebook.
Overworking rhomboids. Come on, guys. It is one of my pet peeves. And then I tell the story about it. After the lockdown of COVID, I was a solo practitioner. I knew there was a bunch of people not being able to work. We were legally allowed to go back to work, given a letter by the governor, because what they are actually experiencing are the hospitals overrun, but overrun with people thinking they had COVID, not having COVID, having panic attacks because they thought they had COVID. So they were reaching out into the medical community to find people to help people with their anxiety. So when we got to go back to work, I knew there was a bunch of people working at spas not being able to work. So I got more massages that year than probably my entire life. And I bought packages from a bunch of people. They would come to my office, work on me once or twice a week. And this one therapist just constantly stayed on rhomboids. He'd be on rhomboids, go away for a few seconds and come back and dig. Eventually it got so bad, like session 3 or 4, I put kinesiology tape on my rhomboids and said, don't touch my rhomboids.
God, those clients who come in, I don't know if you've ever had one of these clients. This only happened to me once when I was a baby therapist working for a chiropractor, but we had a chiropractic patient that came in and he had permanent markered X's. I don't know how he got to some of the spots in his back because those are hard to reach unless you have EDS or something. But I was just absolutely astounded that a client would literally mark where they're holding pain at or where they wanted us to avoid. It was really interesting. That definitely does help. Number 2, clicking and popping over the muscles and calling it a relief. I don't know, girl. You might hate if I give you a massage because I have to tell my clients I pop and click all the time. So if you hear something, it's probably me, not you.
Not the noise of, not the popping, running perpendicular to a muscle belly and clicking back and forth. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was like, I trained people at a spa back in when I first got my first start. And so I would work with them if they got complaints. They would just like rhomboids, or it doesn't matter. If the muscle belly goes this way, they would go perpendicular to it and just rub their elbow on it and keep popping it back and forth. So that's what I was talking about specifically. And saying, oh, that was such a good release. Did you feel that? And I'm like, no, it's going to constantly pop back and forth if you run perpendicular to the muscle belly. It's not a release.
As somebody with EDS and really stringy muscles, cross fiber friction does not work for me. Number 3, asking for work on teres minor and infraspinatus by neuromuscular medical massage therapists, and they were never in the right spot to begin with. Obviously, did not know anatomy. What's the story behind that one?
Exactly that. I've called this my volleyball arm because I played volleyball for years, coached for years. And for the first decade of my business, I wear a holster for my oil and I'd reach around this way with that same arm. I built up scar tissue and teres minor, posterior delt. It's just a big knot in there of some fibrotic tissue and I need that worked out. And they'd never get there. So they obviously just didn't know their anatomy.
Say I only remember the names of 5 muscles and 4 of them are quads. Probably can't even name all of those either.
Even with that, like you don't have to, none of us know the name to every single muscle and their little tiny derivatives and everything. Your palpation skills should be so good that you can tell the difference between weaker, thinner tissue and hypertonic tissue. So palpation skills are also lacking.
Reason number 4, Sandra did not rebook. Session 1, 10 a.m. Massage therapist pulls up at 10:05 to me standing outside the locked office. Apologizes for traffic, probably with the Starbucks in hand, I'm sure. Hey, I'll give you 1 appointment to 1 p.m. Massage pulls up again, 5 or 10 minutes late. Damn, you had to reschedule. She's late again. She busts in turning on the equipment and rushed because another appointment was right after me. Oh my God. I've been this therapist a couple of times too, actually, whenever I was in my super chaotic state and where I lived had a massive amount of traffic, but there's no excuse. You know these things about your city. You know your mannerisms. You know what traffic's going to be like.
And communication is key. Stuff happens to all of us.
One day.
No. It was 2 separate appointments. Yeah, we went ahead with the appointment. It was just late. The second, yeah, so completely separate occasions, not anything related at all. And the second one, same thing. I was standing outside. It was, a solar practitioner renting a space outside their door when they rush in, trying to flip everything on, turn the heater on. I didn't put this in that one, I don't think, but at that same appointment, I could hear, it was actually a male therapist this time, clicking on his phone while he was working on me. There's definitely a bar to be raised in business standards. If your day starts at 10, in my opinion, you should be there at 9:30 every time.
I used to always say, if you are 15 minutes early, you're 30 minutes late because most clients are going to get there 10, 15 minutes early, especially on the clock. And I think we've all been in both situations of being that therapist or, shit happens to us sometimes, but communication is key. I bartered with another therapist local to me and I was late for my own appointment. And I said, I understand if you have to dock the time. And she's like, no, we're good. I said, no, I want you to, because I want you to hold strong to your boundaries and me be held accountable. I knew that I was probably going to be late because I was rushing on editing a YouTube video and I had to have it up before I left. That meant I was 15 minutes late. I really could have waited on it. I took that gamble and I paid and I wanted to pay the consequences for it, not just because I didn't want my friend to overextend herself, but I also wanted to hold myself accountable for me, because we have to think to ourselves, are we holding ourselves accountable as if we were our own boss for real?
Absolutely.
Number 5, massage therapist asked to trade. I massage them, advise them of my problem areas. Probably not the rhomboids. They do energy work on me, including but not limited to blowing down my spine. Oh my God. Like with their mouth, that right, blew down my spine multiple times and tell me, because I crossed my hands on my stomach while I was faced up, that I was showing signs of not feeling safe in some areas of my life. And we could work more on that in the next session. Whew, that one was a doozy.
Yeah, and that comment has shown up a lot in the comments under the post. It's unwanted. Talked about before the session, no informed consent, obviously, if we didn't talk about it. So the energy work thing is becoming a little bit too rare for that to be happening. And the person claiming the right and the responsibility because they do energy work to provide that to you. And if that was not what was discussed, we all know energy happens because we are living beings. But when you cross over into techniques and routines and different palpation skills other than what was asked for, I think that's inappropriate.
Yeah. With my types of sessions, I do the more somatic style, integrated, but I talk to my clients beforehand and I let them know the time that you're booking is the time that you're booking, no extra charges for add-ons or upgrades or anything. How are you feeling today? I do the consult with them. And then I might be like, okay, are you okay with if I do sound bowl over your sacrum before I turn you over? I let them know ahead of time what to expect. Doing it without permission, which of course we're going to read some of those comments. Yeah, don't overstep your boundaries. No, don't do that. Stuck in routine. I could literally predict every next move. Number 5, stripping glides up on hip, 5 strips up the erectors, 5 strips on the upper traps, 5 strips on the triceps. No nuance, no transition to different strokes. Oh my God. So basically robotic, right?
What's really unfortunate, this therapist told me during this session that they that they hated that they got into massage. They really wanted to do something else. I'm like, why are you still here then? It was really sad. Obviously, that's why I didn't rebook. But if you don't want to be here, stop being here, because you're really robbing your clients of their investment and time if you've checked out.
Yeah, I just did a podcast episode, which I'll link below too, about working seasonally. I realize with my lifestyle, my mannerisms, my characteristics, and the fact that I'm a very nomadic, windy personality, I cannot be in the same damn treatment room for 15 years. I can't do it. I need to be mobile. And on top of that, I live in Texas. I am not doing mobile massage in August. Fuck that. But in the winter where it's 60, 70 degrees maybe for about a month, I can handle that. Spring, I want to go to festivals and do other types of wellness events there. So it's okay to curate a schedule to where it's not going to burn you out. And we'll put that below, but I just cannot stand those robotic, predictable massages. You might as well be massaged by the new AI robots people are posting about. Did you get this at a franchise, or what type of environment was that in?
Well, it was someone I knew from when I worked at a resort, and they were off on their own, supposedly doing solo work.
I think it adds a little bit of context to knowing if this was a chiropractor's office or at a spa, or if you called somebody off of an app or something. Number 7, heavy tools. Some of us prefer hands-on. I clearly stated this. Cuts, scraping, tuning forks, and a handful. I would have liked the tuning forks. I might have liked this therapist probably. Number 7, tool heavy. Some of us prefer hands-on. I clearly stated this. Cups, scraping, ew. Tuning forks, what the fuck, and a handle of some kind to P and F in every plane of arm with no reason whatsoever. That sounds like an interesting session. Let's dive into that one a little bit, especially for people who may not know what PMF is.
Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. So he had a handle, like almost like a workout handle. It almost seemed like he went to a class and had just gotten a new certification, because when you're doing something like that and you have someone resist in the direction of that muscle's action, resist, and then you go for a little bit deeper of a stretch, you come back in, resist, you can get a little bit more of a stretch. So that's a technique to use for when you have a compensation pattern you figured out and you have a weak muscle and hypertonic muscle. But he did it in every single, like if I'm going to do flexion or extension, he did it in every direction. He would do this technique this way and the same technique this way. It was almost like he just learned this new thing and was doing in every single muscle direction for every limb. And I'm just like, what?
It's like that before, where we would just take a class. And if I just took a class, I just ask my massage friends if I can practice on them, or I let clients know I'm going to practice something new on them, but it's not going to come out of their time for the massage. I'm just going to add on an extra 10 or 15 minutes. Number 8, went to a massage therapist at her home and was told, I just usually leave the door open or my cat gets lonely and will cry a lot. He won't bother you. Well, turns out I'm allergic to cats. So door closed, cat cried the entire time, meowed like it was dying the entire session. Oh my God. That's a new one. Is it any better or worse than mating whale?
Gosh, I haven't had mating whale sounds. I don't know. This was years ago. I think I was on a continuing education weekend. I try to do the same thing. I try to find small people solo on their own to support. I booked her, just finding her in the vicinity where I was, and had a studio at her house. Totally fine. When you first start out, you buy whatever you can afford and you move up from there over time. That's not the point of this next statement. But her face cradle, I think it was probably the original pillow to a really, really old table. It had no softness to it. It didn't compress down when I put my face in it. And the adhesive from the sticky stuff on the back was worn away. So it wasn't staying on the cradle. My face kept slipping into touching the wood on the stand. I had to keep moving the face cradle pillow back onto the wood frame because the wood was hitting my face. Every time she'd push up my back, it would slip off. And I mean, business practices, you can do great things with simple borrowed or given tools. That's not the point. You have to look and see how are my materials, how is my building blocks of this session, are they working in the session, and just look and see how things are operating. And that whole, the cat, the face cradle slipping off every time she'd push up, it was not good. I always recommend this. If you're not getting a massage on your massage table, and especially if you give 2-hour sessions, you better be getting a 2-hour session on your table to see if it's comfortable that whole time. That's another big one. Face cradle thing being uncomfortable, being too flat, especially if you're supporting for breast tissue, then that means you need even more lift so that head is in line with the spine, and padding under that table. There's nothing worse than no padding on a table and you're laying on wood.
Definitely, you need to be receiving a treatment in your room as if you were your own client, because that will give you so much feedback. I've noticed things doing that, just taking a nap on my own table. I really need to, like you said, get a different type of face cradle, or this bolster actually doesn't feel nice, or I'm shifting my body down and I notice that one of the table legs is a little wiggly. We notice these tiny things when we just put a little bit of effort in being mindful about how it feels to our clients. I do have a dog and I have a home studio as well. I make sure when I talk with clients, which I do a phone consult with every single one of my new clients, I'll text them, if you want to be my client, you're paying a deposit and you're getting on the phone with me so I can figure out what your goals are and build rapport. I do let people know I have a dog. If you're allergic, then we might want to do a mobile session instead. In some cases, I rent a friend's office studio. So there's different options. People are paying us money that they have saved up for a long time in some cases in order to get a service. And some people save up all year for one massage. And to not think about these small things, even if they never come back, even if they were only going to come one time, they could end up being a great referral partner. They could end up being somebody who writes you a really good review.
I love that you said that. And also, I was going to go back to when you're talking about you do seasonal. There are 1,001 different ways of how our work can look. There's no one right way. My way is not everybody's way. I like to go back to back Monday through Friday, stack it up. I love operating that way. That's not everybody's story that they want to tell. It's all about communicating and making sure you're on the same page with your client, and you negotiate to where you both get what you need, because it is a relationship. However you want it to look, as long as it provides what your client's asking for, negotiate what that is.
One thing that I ask my clients a lot during the initial consultation is, what are some things that you've gotten done in massage services before that you absolutely love or that you absolutely hate?
I use the same question. I love that. I love that. So great.
What are some of the things that you've heard from clients when you ask them these questions?
They usually go right away with, like, my feet are so ticklish, just don't touch them. And I'm like, okay, noted. Usually it's things that feel good to them or things that don't feel good to them.
Yeah, I've had clients tell me similar stuff. It's usually about the feet, about the scalp, or stretching. Lately, my last client told me that she loved that the therapist wiped her feet off with hot towels. And I hadn't done that in a while. So it was a really good reminder. I've had people say, the room had too much scent to it, and I'm really sensitive to scents, and it's really, really hot in here, and I'm going through menopause or something. So asking these questions can make or break your session. Number 10, and this one gets a lot of talk in the Facebook groups too, chatty Cathy's. The chatty Cathy's, I like to zone out. I tell every single therapist. This one massage therapist told me everything down to how bad her cycle was that week. Oh my God. When I kept being quiet, she responded with, "Why don't you want to talk to me?" My God, she didn't take the hint.
No, I know. We think that people have business prowess because, especially for solo, we are in business. But we forget, unless you were taught by someone, unless you grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, business skills do not come easy to a lot of people. Their heart is in the right place, but I think that's a big thing in our industry we could improve upon is business prowess.
Totally agree with that. We don't teach that shit in school. Number 11, insanely. Well, actually, I want to go back to number 10. So adding this into number 10, one of my really good friends, I call her my adopted mom. She's around my mom's age. Her name is Janae. She lives in Dallas. She is by far one of the most amazing therapists I've ever come across. So talented. And she's deaf. She's sign languages and reads lips. She was talking to me one day and she said, "Rebecca, you people," meaning us hearing people, "y'all are so unlucky. You have so much noise clutter. It's just too much." You, for example, she totally called me out. Janae totally called me out and said, "You're walking around with your earphones on all the time." Or, you're watching TV while you have your phone in your hand. It's too much overwhelm. There's too much clutter in there. That really put things into perspective too, because as a neurodivergent person, back in my early days when I first started out my business, I didn't realize I had anxiety. So I think some of it was a little bit of nerves. And I used to talk to some of my clients and it would make it feel like the session would go by faster. I just didn't have like a concept of being able to tune into my own body and zone out myself. I had to be constantly stimulated as an ADHD person. And doing the massage while talking, it's like, okay, that's the right amount of stimulation. Well, the session's not about me, it's about them. I didn't know that when I first started out, that's maybe a reason why some people didn't rebook. And number 11, insanely uncomfortable table. No cushion under sheet, just a sheet on the table. Face cradle pillow was flat, old, and wouldn't stay on the wood frame. Kept touching the wood frame and I had to adjust. My back was worse after the session. Yeah, you just went through that one, and that does not sound like the most coziest session ever.
It's surprising though. Like I said, I get a lot of massages that try to support a lot of people. And I learn something from everyone that touches me, either what not to do or like, holy crap, that felt really good, or that was a good flow, or they had a different tool. Like I just recently, well, in the past year, bought the GK3 5, that big, huge vibrator thing.
Is it like a Bio Buddy or a Genie Rub? I have a Genie Rub and I call it the lawnmower because that's exactly what it sounds like. We'll pop it up on the screen for people who are interested.
I went to a new therapist because the 3 or 4 that I've seen, none of them were available. It's when I had to last minute move to a new office. My daughter was that next weekend moving from Charlotte to another city. It was chaos and mayhem. None of my people were available. I found another person local. I'm like, they look great, had great reviews. And he had this GK3 device, and it's a large electronic, but it has a whole little thing that it sits in. But the attachment head is like probably that big. And it's unlike a Theragun that does this really fast. It goes on the tissue and vibrates. It's like a portable vibration plate. That's what it feels like. I bought that because I went to a new person I never had before. So we will learn something from everybody. That was the whole point of that. He used that on me. I'm 5'10", 165, normal weight, normal musculature. Over half of my clients have an extenuating health situation. A lot of them lipedema, EDS, all those things. I was immediately like, oh my goodness, I have to get this for them. This is different. Yeah. It feels totally different. So we should be experiencing other people, but when you get on a table and you do hurt worse than when you got up, because like I said, I see a lot of different therapists. When I go to a different state, I always book with a random solo person. Very common. It is table, maybe an old flat cover, and the sheet straight on top of it. I've got 2 of them. I have memory foam, that hard crystal warming pad, another foam thing on top. You get nice and cushy. That's the way it should be. That's one of the most biggest compliments I get with new people. I can't believe how comfortable your table is. And I'm like, what have you been experiencing? Okay, the first one is, it seems like it would be an easy one to pick up, but if she says, I specifically tell areas I need deep work into, they either don't do it at all or barely work into it, and I have to ask for them to go back and go deeper. It's very frustrating when I point out the problems and they don't get worked on. We just have to listen and we have to address. And I always recommend, if someone tells you there's a spot, as soon as you get some oil on, go there right away so they know that you heard them, and go back and do it twice. You should have like 3 to 4 different techniques, styles, moves to do for every body part and every muscle fiber. You should have a compression, a friction, a tool, a cup. Treat that thing 5 different ways from Sunday. I think stuck in routine might be what she was experiencing, but we gotta listen.
That does warrant a reminder that some of these therapists that we're writing comments about our experiences, they have been working in franchises or they might be burnout. We don't know the situation every single time, but this is why we need to learn how to compartmentalize our personal life and our business life as well. This one person says, I didn't rebook with that one LMT because for 2 hours, I learned of her online dating, her divorce, and even her sex habits. Oh, she needs to be on my show because I have a segment about dating. Another reason why I didn't rebook, I have fibromyalgia, cannot stand getting deep tissue, at least not a full 90 minutes of it. Not that any deep tissue massage should be 90 minutes. You should not be doing that amount of pressure for 90 minutes solid. That will hurt you and the client. I had to keep telling her, please lighten up. Her response was, well, I'm a deep tissue specialist. This is what I do. I was set into a fibro flare-up in pain for 3 weeks after. That is so fucking unfortunate and really dismissive of that massage therapist, regardless if that is her specialty or not, to just straight up dismiss somebody like that.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but I think pride gets in a lot of our way with these situations. I do energy work. I'm going to do this on you because you need it. I only do deep tissue. We should have communicated all these things and dealt with that before the person's on the table. We've got to start listening. You can't just take every client. If that's the case, if you're going to specialize in something that half the population doesn't want, find your clientele and curate them, but don't put on someone something because that's what you like to do.
It's totally okay to end the session, whether you're a client listening to this or a massage therapist. You can end it if you feel like you need to, more so for the client. Because if I'm being hurt, I'm not going to just sit there and take. I know I paused it on a really awkward meme.
That's why I was laughing. The beard, the beard.
Okay, so this person said, I didn't rebook because his beard hair went into my mouth while I was face up. Therapist only used the arm, never fingers or hands. This seems like such an awkward service.
I'm telling you though, is it not true? People have such poor spatial awareness. Boots is talked about a lot in here. Clothes touching the client, your holster touching the client, hair touching the client. Don't get me started on some of the videos we've seen with practitioners that wear long dangly jewelry. This is touching the client. People are not good at spatial awareness. It really is a problem. But yeah, the hair in the mouth, I just spit my water out when I read that one.
This one's very common as well. Therapists agreeing to do the very specific thing I requested and then not even doing it whatsoever. And then standing at the front desk waiting for her to.
Well, and she's asked specifically for QL. That goes back to people truly not knowing anatomy, because I have experienced this myself. I asked for QL because I have a slight herniation, and they go to do QL and they just stick right down on top of the erector muscles and jam away.
I'm going to turn you on your side to get that cue.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you can do it, but it's poor training on that person's part.
One says, oftentimes I'm in worse shape after I receive body work than I was beforehand. And I don't think it has anything to do with the therapist at this point. I think it's just me. I mean, that's also a possibility. They say they don't get worked on often. Another reason I don't rebook is I was very uncomfortable with the way that I was draped and wasn't able to articulate it when I reached for the sheets, the LNT, and moved my hands. The sheets on the table were very rough and scratchy. I cannot stand hospital sheets. The LMT had well, we all have fingernails, but I guess she meant long. Or maybe here's a comment. The price didn't match the work, which is kind of what you said in your post, is to be very specific about these and not just making blanket statements as well. But that's also true. We're all going to have a different version of what something is worth. And I trade with a lot of therapists mostly, but if I go spend my money with a therapist, you better bet I'm going to stalk them on social media and see what their videos look like, to see if they're self-employed, to see if they work for someone else, to see how long they've been doing this. Part of that is my discernment as somebody who wants to spend my hard-earned money on, to figure out if that person is worth it by reading the review. So it does go both ways. But I love how she was like, I think it's just me.
Well, and that person too, like given your situation, I have a lot of people with extenuating health circumstances that they truly don't feel good the day of their massage. They go home, they know they have to hydrate well. They know they have to clear the rest of their evening, because if they have issues like a high viral load or they have any kind of autoimmune thing, they know there's a chance, or it might stir something up for a little bit, but then like the next day after the fluids have moved through the body, they have hydrated well. Because often, a lot of times for people, getting that body work is like a reunion back to doing all the things I know I'm supposed to be doing anyway. So they drink really good water that day, they have a good protein dinner, and they sleep really well and feel awesome the next day. So it may be her health story giving her a little glimpse into how she needs to do it more often or be more hydrated before the session. So that's super common.
And we can't control what our clients do whenever they're not on our treatment table.
It's going to go back to business practices and spatial awareness. So she had timers on her Alexa device to signify when to flip. That's a school thing. And when to end the session. Her alarm song was Donna Summer's She Works Hard for Her Money.
No.
I thought was incredibly tacky. She also completely uncovered my glutes from both sides, then proceeded to open and hand smack me when I was like some kind of booty bongo drum. She said, "Don't worry, you haven't been a bad girl. I'm not spanking. I'm just trying to get the blood flowing." I had no words, but the most egregious of all was of all offenses is when she started rubbing my feet and talking about reflexology and the corresponding external female reproduction system. Let's just say she didn't use anatomically correct terms. So again, poor business practices, no spatial awareness, doing what I want to because I know the right thing to do, getting too familiar with our people. I don't care if you know me. Everybody, I mean, a lot of therapists in Charlotte know me. Nobody's going to smack me on the glute and say something like that. We don't get that familiar with people.
You can curse in my channel. It's okay. I want to get this massage just for the humor of it. My God, it sounds like an SNL skit. It sounds Phoebe from Friends probably did this service. Here's another one. A therapist talking throughout the service. I've heard way too much of a therapist's heartbreaks or traumas while paying for my nervous system to catch a break from just that. Oh my fucking God. I'm so guilty of that whenever I was a baby therapist.
Sometimes it's nervous chatter.
No, it's like, well, if it's a two-way conversation, is it okay to keep going? No, this is their time to like catch up afterwards. Let them have their massage. And then if you're on that friendly terms, spend 10 minutes afterwards bitching about your exes. I do that all the time with some of my people and it's great, but never on the table, not anymore.
Well, and also you have good listening skills. So even if you wanted to, you're going to be like, oh, I can't, because they said they wanted to go to sleep or whatever it is they asked for. Listening skills.
Clients tell me that their family members have passed away. And I recently had a family member pass away around the same time. And I didn't want to like take up airspace and be like, yeah, I know how you feel. My sister just passed or something. That's not why they're there. I don't need to share my trauma with them either. They're trying to come to a safe space. I could talk to them after maybe. The rest of this says, I feel like the space is something to be held sacred. You're on that table. It's not social hour to pass your day by quicker. Oh my God. Yeah, I just said that about how I used to be a chatterbox. Seems like some therapists forget that or they don't understand the value of offering. Speaking of, since they cut it off at the knees by talking and oversharing, I had a client who talks to me and I wish she would sink in and go there to that place I'm preparing. I need to silence myself, or if there's any talking, let's not talk about me, not the therapist stuff. I'm paying for the service. I shouldn't know about your problems by the time I'm done. Truly, to the land of milk and honey, please. Yeah, that's so true. We need to compartmentalize our personal lives. If you want to be social with your client, if you really like them that much, I personally think it's okay to be friends with some clients if you're mature enough, if you have your standard operating procedures in practice, if you know how to compartmentalize. I'm friends with a lot of my clients. I have one coming over right after, and she's actually staying the night. She's a festival friend of mine, but when she's on my table, she's my client. Everything from start to finish is going to be to help her nervous system.
Healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries.
She says, horrible music. I wonder if it's hard for the money. Client's phones went off when it was Baby Got Back. My God, that was really...
Jolene, or what's the other one?
Drop your horrible playlist songs below in the comments. Let us know what songs have gone off on clients' phones or on your random Spotify playlist because you didn't get the version without ads.
Another one that she brings up is being aggressive with my low back and saying you'll be the one to fix me. That's pride kicking in. That's our pride. We don't fix anybody.
It's client expectations too. If they're expecting us to fix 20 years of pain in 20 minutes, that is not healthy or a reasonable be expecting that. We do set standards in the treatment room. Bad hygiene, both the room and the therapist. Yeah, I've learned to keep deodorant on me. And I've also learned to bring some Listerine to my office, especially after eating Greek food. Yeah, the overly aggressive, I hate that, especially with somebody who has a connective tissue disorder. They think they might know what I need, but I'm telling you what I need. I am in my body. I know what I need. Please do not disregard me. The not listening skills, a lot of these are iterations of what we've already gone over. I'm going to have another episode too that is how to respond to clients whenever they won't shut up. You want them to sink in and relax and help regulate their nervous system.
Not enough time on extremities. This one blows my mind. I have had a 2-hour session once, and they spent time goes fast when you're on the table, but it was like flip over, feet, shoulders done. I was like, there's no way that was 2 hours. He spent like an hour and a half on my back. We should have 15 ways from Sunday to get these guys here. Like, we should have so many different techniques: face down, face up, stretches, active release, client participation. Extremities are I'd rather have extremity massage and skip my back. That's how much again, it's from volleyball and doing this work for so long. But yeah, give my extremities the love that I'm asking for.
Spending a lot of time filling out necessary info. She says she doesn't even read them. She placed her hands on the table and her nails were an inch long. There goes my suboccipital work that I expressly requested. I thought she was using oil, so I slathered up, had to wipe myself off on the sheets. I know it was Biotone. Oh God, I hate Biotone. It's so itchy and gross to me. She had been dipping into the gallon of Biotone container throughout the massage. Oh my God, cross-contamination. Hit my quads completely, never checked in once. But That is more than enough. Y'all need to scroll on YouTube and watch technique videos instead of doom scrolling on Facebook between clients. You'll learn a lot. This one too, music with ads, that's the worst. There's nothing more relaxing than hearing a Trojan condom commercial in the middle of your massage. Please, God, turn your ads off.
Yeah. Or if you got to go back to a CD player, go back to a CD player.
Okay, we'll read through a couple more and wrap these up. Like you said, it's business practices, it's techniques, it's not being mindful to what your customers, it's not picking up on hints. Read the room, the treatment room, read it. Read the clients, know what their nonverbal cues are. I'll let you read this one. It involves Groupon, and that will set me off if I read it.
I bought a Groupon for a place local to where I massage because I'm poor and I like to try out new places. We've all been there, trust me. The stones from my hot stone massage were brought into the room in a basket at the beginning of my session. By the time they were used on me, the stones were cold. When I told the therapist, they said, "No, this is good. Too hot is not good." They spent 5 to 7 minutes working the same tiny spot in the back of my hamstring, thinking I was sleeping until I coughed, and they finally moved on. Post-session, the front desk informed me I had a $3 fee for paying with a Groupon, paid and presented prior to service. While not a huge deal, it was unprofessional.
It's that credit card fee they wish they could charge there afterwards.
You got to know what you're getting in for, though, with those. They come with a price, literally. Atmosphere was chaotic. The lobby contained 10 to 15 machines that appeared to be for facial or medical services. There were several of these machines stored in my treatment room as well as a second table. My table was 6 inches from the wall, not leaving space for the therapist to work on that side of the table.
You got to hop up on the table and start doing some table tie. You got to get a little creative sometimes.
Yeah. I like this one. Massaging only halfway up my quads and hamstrings. Okay, we need to do a separate video for this, or maybe you have one already. So many people get terrified when they're in school of performing a technique or style that their client is going to turn them into the board for. They overdrape. They just get freaked out. I see this a lot with male therapists. They're so scared of going too far or getting too close to the crown that they drape. They literally do drape halfway down the hamstring, halfway down the quad. You cannot get that. It's like not playing all the way up the octave. Your body's like, you don't get all the good stuff. If that is you, if you're draping half the leg, find a therapist, find a mentor, find somebody and be like, listen, I don't feel comfortable. They told me in school, if I go up too far, I'm going to get a complaint. I don't want a complaint. The aggressive tucking under the leg to prove you're not going to go too far. Like, I'm more assaulted by the tuck than the poor draping skills. That's what I've experienced. I tore one of the ligaments in my hip last year. And that sucker, if you had not ever torn a ligament, you have no idea how you have to maneuver the body, get into internal rotation, and get your elbow way up in that ligament space to friction a little bit to get any kind of relief. None of that is possible when you're draping halfway down the leg. We need to up our skill level and our technique level and get someone to mentor us if you need help with that. Because it's okay to ask for help.
And there's this hilarious video that I watched the other day. I actually put it on YouTube Short, so I'll put the link in the comments too. But it's of this lady talking about how she went to go get a massage with a therapist that was over draping and over tucking. And she's like, look, sweet therapist, I just got a massage at this Korean spa and they got all up in my crack. The way she was telling the story was just so funny. I'll have to put that in here.
As long as there's informed consent, as long as I ask, do you want me to work on your glutes? Do you want me to work directly on your glutes? Because if you're some people do the traditional draping for ashiatsu, they put a towel up the crack. Everything's exposed. So awareness for the client, good, full body work.
We'll end on these last two. This is from a new massage therapist.
So this anonymous person, please don't be scared. That's why I did this whole post. I want to help people get better and love what they do and never have this feeling. As a new massage therapist, reading all these comments gives me anxiety. I hope that to the end of the universe that the clients I work on are always honest with me when I ask them how the pressure is, or if there's anything anywhere that they feel needs more time throughout their session, or when I ask for feedback and what could have been done differently at the end of their session. First of all, no, they're not going to tell you half the time. So you got to get really good at reading body language. But reading these comments makes me think that maybe they weren't being honest. So that's why they didn't rebook with me. And I may be just giving away too basic of a massage. I just hope that even if the MTs that worked on any of you didn't ask or check in, that you were honest and let them know what was going on, because in the end, it's your massage. No one knows your needs and pet peeves better than you do. I see some of you did mention bringing it to their attention and nothing changed. And I'm sorry any of you went through such bad experiences. We all deserve massages that put us at ease and provide relief, especially when what's supposed to be a sacred space of vulnerability and safety. That's very, very, very well said. Very beautifully put. You're going to be a great therapist because you already have the intuition to be sensitive to someone's needs. That's what I was talking about earlier. Some people are too proud to be sensitive to someone's needs and desires. So you're going to be just fine, Miss Anonymous.
Yes, she will. I just want to give her a big old hug and take her under my
Yes.
This person says, though it comes to mind, how many of you actually give feedback to your practitioner? I've been in this field for 40 years. Colleen, amazing. It's amazing to me how many people come to me. They tell me about unpleasant experience with other practitioners. I ask if they told that person. If they gave them direct feedback, the response is no. Why do we feel guilty and uncomfortable being straight and forward and upfront? And trust me, people will write bad reviews online and not tell you to your face. So I always tell clients, give me your good feedback online and your constructive feedback in person, please.
One of the things I use with new people as soon as they're on the table, after I've done my whole spiel of everything, because they forget exactly what you said as soon as you say it. So when they get on the table, face down, they're starting, I'm like, just as we go throughout the session, if you ever need more or less of anything, always let me know.
This one too, since I'm scrolling across it right now, this is a pretty good one. I didn't want the therapist to bring up our working arrangement, the local murder that just took place. God, politics right now too.
Yeah.
Want her to vent about her co-parent while she was working on me. She stops to talk with her hands or mindlessly repeats the same motion over and over. When she gets worked up, sounds like Blake Lively, but anyways, I didn't want her to have to go over time by 30 minutes just to be able to address the areas that I asked for. It turned into a 2-hour massage. I was in 2-hour parking, and now I owe her for a longer session. She responded by lashing out and attacking my character, ending our friendship and moving out of the office 2 days later. This is why people don't want to give feedback. This is called taking it personal. That therapist took it so personal, and she could not disassociate her chaotic life from honest feedback from colleagues. This too, to end this chat on, the reality is many massage therapists carry a lot of ego and are what I refer to as bleeding hearts. Their emotions and empathetic responses aren't contained or managed well. It's a matter of them simply owning those parts of themselves and not letting others shake their sense of security so easily. This is so important. We have to honor ourselves. We have to honor how our bodies are feeling, how our minds are feeling in the moment. We have to listen to people. When we try to just keep getting more and more clients in the door, it costs us a lot of money than it does if we were to just get the client coming back to rebook with us. So having that rapport, creating those relationships, having that communication, slowing down, and also being cognizant of other people's time and consideration. Everything from, does your client, for example, this is one of my big pet peeves. I would pull up to my spa and I would always park in the very back, so my clients had the first parking spot. If I did park up front, I would always move my car, make sure that they had room. It's just really small things like that make a huge difference whenever we're working with people and taking into consideration if they have to pick up their kid from carpool or if they have to make it to somewhere on time. And I see a lot of the bleeding heart thing too. We're like, oh, let's just give our clients an extra 10 or 15 minutes. And that seems nice and generous. But did you ask your client if that was okay? Because maybe they do have to go catch a Zoom call right after or something. We need to be cognizant of these things. I always have to tell my therapist, do not touch my scalp. Do not touch it. Don't even look at it. Don't touch it. That's my only fuck no. Everything else, I'll fall right asleep, honestly.
The reason I made the post was because we want people to be successful in this field. We want the community to get good treatments, and we want providers to have longevity in their career. If you are not seeing that, if you're not feeling that, you have got to get someone that you trust, that you will listen to, that you will look up to receive work from you and give you a good critique, because I see this post all the time. The reason you're not staying booked isn't because you deserve it and you're amazing. Well, what if you're not? What if you didn't have a good teacher in massage school? What if you had someone that hated being there, they didn't show you good skills, and you picked up bad habits? What if you're not good? And you need to figure that out.
My deep tissue class in massage school, the teacher, she got fired, but she was off in the bathroom popping pills and shit and got fired for it. And we learned nothing of anatomy, and we had to get another teacher to come in and replace her. What the fuck? I didn't learn abdominal massage in school. I think my Thai teacher taught us some things, but we don't learn these things in school, y'all. We can sit here and read bad reviews all day. Oh God, if you want something to improve your practice and if you can't really afford to go get a massage at the moment, go read Google reviews of your local competitors and see what the local demographic is saying about your direct competition and about their likes and preferences, whether it's an ambience. Maybe you'll come across a place you really want to go visit, or maybe that place is so busy they might need extra help in the future. Go
Hmm.
interview yourself. You can possibly collaborate with them, but definitely check out. I always tell people the time you spend online is like the time you spend in person too, the people you surround yourself with. Start training yourself, start training the algorithm on what you want to learn and make it work for you, and do a little bit of scrolling through techniques and skill set and Badass Body Worker podcast instead of just doom scrolling on Facebook.
Yeah. We're all worth it. We're all worth receiving it. And we all should be seeing our clients as worth receiving the best we have to give. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for coming on. We'll definitely have a couple more episodes in the future. Keep posting some awesome stuff. Don't do any rage baity shit.
I try to fix problems. I'm a problem solver. Yes, yes, yes. Go see your therapist.
Yes, thank you so much, Sandra.
Thank you. You too. See ya. Bye.